chairman of the Cabinet of Ministers, stated that according to the results of the first quarter, our economy grew by 8.8%. Excluding the Ала-Тоо gold mine, this figure was 9.8%. Is this true? Which sectors of our economy contributed to such growth?
Indeed, these figures are accurate. These are official numbers monitored and calculated by the National Statistics Committee. Additionally, the Ministry of Economy and Commerce oversees the process. All sectors contribute to the growth of our economy. Of course, at the expense of taxpayers. Kumtur, Alliance Altın, Jeru, Altınken, Nur Telecom, Sky Mobile, Alpha Telecom, Red Petroleum, Partner Neft, Gazprom Neft, Topno, Oil Bank, Optima. These companies take leading places, and I would like to note the significant contribution of the National Bank to economic growth and curbing inflation.
You said that the National Bank has a great contribution to the growth of our economy. How much reserves we have, if it's not a secret? What about our gold reserves?
There is no secret. All these are public information. To date, our total international reserves have reached $3.491 billion. From our independence to 2020, our international reserves were only $2.424 billion in 30 years. Today, the team of our national bank added $1.067 billion in 3 years. As for gold reserves, until 2020, only 16 tons of gold had been collected in 30 years. Today, the national bank has 51 tons of gold. 35 tons of gold was added in 3 years. You see the difference: 16 tons in 30 years, 35 tons in 3 years. In addition, the National Bank lowered the inflation rate to 5.2% to date. Compared to other countries, today inflation is lower in our country. This is the result of the correct policy of the National Bank.
Are there currently problems in the state budget in paying foreign debts, making payments on protected items? There are critics who state that our external debt has increased.
In simple terms, let's forget about discussing external debt from now on. We will not entertain these questions any longer. Some of our citizens may persist in claiming that our external debts has increased, but we will not pay any attention to them anymore. Up until 2020, our external debt was around $5 billion, accumulated over 30 years. Apart from recent projects like Datkakemin, the North-South highway construction, and the modernization of thermal power plants, not much significant work had been undertaken. However, these 3 projects have become essential for Kyrgyzstan's development. Akin to air and water, it was nothing that these projects were not justified. They cost even over 40 years. And the expenses have increased by 2-3 times. Comparatively similar construction and work in European countries are done 2-3 times cheaper than here. For instance, even a 5th-year student in this field can calculate the required funds for building a thermal power plant. The North-South Highway and the Datkakemin project are also overpriced. This is not the fault of the Chinese side, which issued the loan, but our authorities and officials are to blame. The money was stolen. By 2035, we will repay our foreign debts in the amount of $5 billion, which have accumulated to date. The timing of the payment coincided with the period of work of my team. God bless. It is within our power to do this. Our economy has improved. As long as there is a peace and stability in the country, we will easily pay. Remember, we will pay off previous debts at the expense of the people from the national budget, because before this there was not a single self-sustaining project. All the money received disappeared like water into sand. We will direct the debts that we take on now. Every dollar taken to specific projects, we will take on self-sustaining projects. I will give one example. About $5-6 million will be spent for the construction of the Kambarata 1 hydropower plant. This project will pay off 13-15 years from completion and commissioning. When the time comes to repay the debt for this project, the Republican budget and the people will not pay. The Kambarata 1 hydropower plant will pay for itself before the debt is due. How? For example, the World Bank provides a loan of $500 million for 50 years with a 10-year grace period without interest. Kyrgyzstan received a loan on such terms for the first time in the history of the country. Now I will tell you about the Kambarata 1 project. Construction period is 8-10 years. The $5-6 billion spent for construction will be fully recouped within 13-15 years from the date of completion of construction and start of operation. It turns out that the longest time for the cost of Kambarata 1 to be fully recouped, including the construction period, is 25 years. Therefore, even if our external debt reaches $10-15 billion, we don't have to worry about anything. The most important thing is that by 2035 we will fully repay previously incurred debts. In the future, no matter how much we borrow, every project will pay for itself. There will be no burden on the Republican budget and the people's pockets. Of course, not taking into account the debts incurred for road construction. I mentioned only large projects. They are projects of small and medium-sized hydropower plants that will pay for themselves in 7-8 years. We must invest in them too. We now ask to the Global Climate Fund to help. If they help, we will completely switch to green energy. We have many projects in other areas. I won't go into all the little details. We are implementing them with private investors and to the extent possible at the expense of the budget.